Hello, you're watching Self-Reliant India on DD India and I'm Preeti. In the next 1 hour, we'll discuss and we will explore the potential of tourism sector, especially in the northeastern region today, and how far will it help in bringing self-reliance to the country. COVID pandemic had brought the world to its knees. Every sector had to bear the brunt, but tourism industry was completely paralyzed by the pandemic-induced lockdown. Even as the world tries to get back to normal, the tourism sector is looking at a fresh lease of life. Tourism has the greatest potential for generating income and employment opportunities in the northeastern states because the region is not only characterized by blending of flora and fauna, but it is also exceptionally high in biodiversity. As a zone of convergence of diverse ethnic stocks, the region is undoubtedly a showcase of cultural diversity. What is the potential of the region and what does it hold in the near future as well? To talk more about it, we are joined in by guests. We are joined in by Mr. Rupinder Barar. She's Additional Director General, Ministry of Tourism. We are joined in by Nirmala Chaudhary, Chairman, Northeast States Indian Association of Tour Operators. Elena Satpathy, Partner, Seven Sister Holidays Imphal, and Subramanian Bhattacharjee, Northeast Experts. We welcome all of you to the show this afternoon. Ms. Barar, to begin with, I would want you to explore and to acquaint us with the potential of the tourism sector, specifically in the northeastern region.
The immense potential that exists. In fact, if we start from Guwahati itself, which is some ways we can say the gateway to the Northeast, but in many ways I would say no longer the Northeast gateway because so many other airports and roads have developed in the last few years that the entire region is getting so well connected, and that's what is making the whole area so exciting for taking up as a tourism product. If you look at the wildlife parks, if you look at the rhino itself, which kind of symptomizes the entire Assam, but the mighty Brahmaputra, the cleanest villages in Meghalaya, if you are traveling in Manipur, Mizoram, Nagaland, each with their own festivals. I think Nagaland famous for a festival every month. Of course, who hasn't heard about the Hornbill Festival, the food, the nature, and the customs, the dance forms. There is just so much to be done in the Northeast that it is, in fact, relatively, one would say, the more unexplored area of India. Particularly if we look at the trends that we are noticing globally, that post-pandemic, what is it that people are really looking to do? We find that the northeastern region of our country is absolutely amazing in its offerings because people are looking to go outdoors, people are trying to go stay in homestays, in boutique properties, and are also trying to be closer to nature. And all these are the things that the northeastern region of our country has in bountiful. So undoubtedly huge potential to be explored by all of us.
All right, huge potential to be explored by all of us. I'll take that forward to Mr. Nirmala Chaudhary. He's Chairman, Northeast States Indian Association of Tour Operators. Sir, we welcome you to the show. As the opening comments, I would want you to, explain to us how far has the pandemic or for that matter, how has the tourism industry had to face, to what extent did it have to face the, the COVID-induced restrictions? What is the status of the tourism sector today?
Yeah, first and foremost, the COVID situation right from the very beginning was tackled in a very strict measures were implemented in all the states of Northeast. So tourism was one of the first sectors that got affected, but that is in the past. Right now we see, to begin with, it was the people of Northeast traveling within the region, visiting other states, people from Assam going to Meghalaya, Arunachal, Nagaland and other states, and similarly from our neighboring states, people visiting nearby destinations. That's how it started. And people were opting for wide open areas, boutique properties set aside from populated or big cities. We have a number of wildlife destinations and nature retreats spread across the region. So those were the places that were preferred by our own people from the region. And in the recent months, we see a beginning of people from other regions of the country starting to come and visit our region. especially Meghalaya, Assam and Arunachal Pradesh has already started receiving a good number of people. It is certainly not enough, but it is only the beginning. We are hoping that this summer more and more people from other areas will come to the cooler climes of Meghalaya, of Arunachal Pradesh. Kaziranga National Park in Assam and Manas National Park in Assam, both World Heritage Sites, has received a number of visitors from other areas, other regions of the country. So things are looking up. We hope we can maintain this small surge and lead it to a bigger surge of people coming from other regions of the country to Northeast India.
All right, you're talking of the surge. I'll bring in Mr. Bhattacharjee at this point in time. Sir, just a while back, Ms. Barar talked of how tourism was unexplored in the northeastern India all these years. And I would want you to tell us, how has tourism, industry in the northeastern India, in the northeastern region, changed all these years? Is it just about holiday makers, or now we also have the scope of medical tourism, we also have the scope of filmmakers who are heading to Northeast India in large numbers. So how has tourism evolved in Northeast India all these years?
What has happened significantly is the quality of infrastructure development in the Northeast. So you saw the transportation sector getting a lot of wings, so many flights increased, the road and rail networks, one of the most important rail networks that was stuck for almost 20 years, the Lamding Badarpur broad gauge, meter gauge to broad gauge conversion project. Now that route basically went through the hills of Assam, the most beautiful Dima Hasao district, and then it was the only way for connectivity via rail to both Mizoram, Manipur, and southern Assam. Now, those things got completed in the first term of the Modi government, and ever since then, the improvement in this quality of transportation, people have started coming in. Inter-regional travel and intra-regional travel, as someone also just mentioned. So what has happened is that the moment the infrastructure improved, even the road infrastructure under the various schemes have seen significant progress, the widening of the roads, the addition of extra lanes. So because of that, the potential of tourism started picking up. Because see, Northeast is not only confined to one aspect of tourism. Besides the scenic and forest-based tourism, you also have opportunities around religious tourism, the cultural tourism. As so many tribes, live in the region, they have each of their own cultures, which go from dresses to festivals and celebrating some of the unique aspects of their tribe. So these are all crowd pullers. So on and off, people used to take interest in Northeast in the past, but now with the advent of social media particularly, and the regular, clips and posts that come of the region, it has started attracting a lot of people from various parts of the country. I must tell you that since I belong also from the region, in many years back, I used to see that the knowledge of geography of the people in various parts of the country about Northeast was very, very poor. They couldn't relate to the place, they couldn't name the capitals correctly and all. But now with all these clips coming, with the advantage of social media, people have started understanding, people have started going to the region, and this has made a change. I'll just give you an example. If 10 years back, hardly there would have been 20 flights to the region. On the 15th of March this year, we had 90 flights to the region. So the number of people traveling, the number of flights, the number of trains, the extent to which people use the roads, that has increased. So having said so, has the exploration been done to create really a world-class destination? The government is serious, the government is motivating, and as the donor minister has also recently put it, that this is a great window of opportunity for the Northeast region to take in tourists to the region, because a lot of the people who would go abroad for tourism purposes today, because of the various reasons around COVID, are confined to remain in the country, and as they move, we should be able to motivate them to go to the
Yes.
Northeast. Now, a section has already started moving in, but there is still a lot of planning and work to be done to make it far much more efficient for the tourist circuits to happen under any chain. Even if whether you look at the medical tourism, whether you look at the scenic and forest-based tourism, whether you look at the religious tourism, whether you look at the cultural tourism, in all of that, if certain packages, if certain quality of staying places, movements in vehicles, all of that are packaged well, I think there is no reason that Northeast shouldn't become the most travel destination within the country.
All right, so it is basically development of infrastructure and enhancement of connectivity that is leading to renewed interest of people in the region. I'll take that forward to Ms. Barar. Ma'am, I would want you to specifically talk about how has the centre's intervention particularly helped in reviving tourism in this region. We've seen Prime Minister has time and again pointed out to Northeast and pointed out to the potential of the region. We've also had India's Northeast Vision 2020. Spell out more details on that. And also tell us, how has the picture changed since then?
I think some of the most important initiatives that have been happening, I already indicated on the infrastructure bit, but particularly from the Ministry of Tourism's perspective, we launched the Dekho Apna Desh campaign last year. In fact, just a little before the pandemic, we started it in January. But as we were still going to build it up, of course, COVID happened. And then from April onwards, we've started doing a webinar series of Dekho Apna Desh. And in that, a number of episodes, we've done 81 total episodes for India. And out of that, many of the episodes are featuring the various tourist points of the northeast of the country. And people have actually come forth, it's the tour operators, or these are the bloggers, or people who are simply in love with that part of the country, who've come forth and made presentations for an hour. These webinars actually reach out to more than 60 countries across the world, and including the domestic potential travelers. So a lot of content has been created. The ministry is currently also involved in creating a lot of content. We've also constituted a committee, which I am, of course, heading, but it's the ministry has constituted a committee, one can say, of the local stakeholders who are going to be meeting. In fact, I have a meeting coming up in Guwahati tomorrow and day after, where we are going to get into the nitty-gritties of what are the products, what is the kind of content that needs to be made, how the itineraries need to be showcased to both the domestic as well as the inbound travelers, because eventually the inbound travelers will start coming in the times to come. So that kind of granular work is now being done with lot more focus, so that people actually know the kind of options that are available.
All right. Yes, you're talking of the work which has been done. I would also want you to elaborate more on the renewed focus which this government has specifically given to the northeastern region. And also we saw that the donor minister has also talked of how this is the most apt time, this is the right time wherein post-COVID opportunities, tourism opportunities can further be nurtured, can further be enhanced in the region. Yes, ma'am. Am I audible?
I have heard you.
Yes. Yes, please respond to it, ma'am.
I was just saying that the RCS Udan that was announced, and the RCS Udan 4.0 is particularly focused on all the connectivity within the Northeast region. So that is one huge, we can say announcement that has come. Particularly if I look from the Ministry of Tourism's point of view, I would like to share with you the two major schemes under which we build tourism infrastructure. And if we see in Prashad, where Prashad largely focuses on improving tourist facilities around pilgrimage places or places of, we can say, spiritual augmentation, then we have recently sanctioned the improvement at Parshuram Kund, which is in Arunachal Pradesh, We also have projects ongoing in Meghalaya, and we have projects sanctioned in Nagaland. We have recently sanctioned a project at Tripuri Sundari in Tripura. So in all parts of the Northeast, a number of projects ongoing. Under the Swadesh Darshan scheme, again in Arunachal, there is a development of the mega circuit of Bhalukpong, Bomdila and Tawang. In Arunachal itself, there is a development of Nafra, Sepa, Papupasa, Pake valleys. We also have in Assam the wildlife circuit, which is involving the development of Manas and the Pabitra sanctuaries, Nameri, Kaziranga, Dibru, and also the development of Tejpur and Majuli Island, if you have heard of it. Meghalaya, in fact, at the Umiam Lake, the Orchid Resort is already up and running. It's a beautiful resort. I encourage all of you to go and visit it. In Meghalaya itself, there is a lot of work happening on the West Khasi Hills, the Jaintia Hills, and also in the Garo Hills area. Similarly, in Manipur, there are the Northeastern Circuit and the Spiritual Circuit projects going on, where we are developing in the Khongjom area, the Imphal Khongjom area. There is also development of Shri Govindji Temple, Shri Bijoy Govindji Temple, and the Gopinathji Temple. Mizoram, if we look at Mizoram, already the golf course has been developed, and that has created a lot of value for the entire region over there, the Tenzol golf course. There is also the Eco Adventure Circuit in Mizoram that is currently underway. Similarly, in Nagaland, there is a development of the tribal circuit in the Peran, Kohima, Woka area, and also development of the Mokochung to Sangwon. And if we include Sikkim, because for our purposes, we include Sikkim under the same region, then again in Sikkim, there is a development of tourist circuit which will link Rangpur, Rorathang, Arithar, Nathang, Songmo, and in the entire region, if you see, it also links the Singtam, Maka, and the Phongya Namchi belt. So if you see the entire region, a lot of focus on ensuring that the tourist infrastructure improves over the coming time. Some projects completed, some almost getting completed, and some still fresh sanctions, so starting. So at various stages of development, we have a number of projects going on in the entire Northeast. So that's the way forward for the Government of India.
All right, that's the way forward, and a number of projects have been started to ensure infrastructure development in the region. Up next, we're heading for a very short commercial break. You're watching Self-Reliant India on DD India, and today we are discussing tourism, specifically in northeastern regions. Stay with us. We'll be back in a short while.
Your window to rising India. India's voice on global platforms. Latest news from India and around the world. In-depth analysis of global headlines. Watch DD India in your country. Available for downlink in all Southeast Asian countries. STTV broadcast is available through the satellite GSAT 17 at 93.5 degrees east. HDTV broadcast is available through the satellite GSAT 10 at 83 degrees east. For technical details, scan here. Switch to DD India now.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching Self-Reliant India on DD India, and today we're discussing the potential of tourism sector in the northeastern region of the country. We are joined in by Mr. Rupinder Biraj, who is Additional Director General, Ministry of Tourism. We're joined in by Mr. Nirmal Chaudhary. He's Chairman, Northeast States Indian Association of Tour Operators. Elena Satpathy, she's partner Seven Sister Holidays Imphal. And also we're joined in by Mr. Subimal Bhattacharjee, Northeast Experts. We welcome Elena Satpathy at this point in time to the show, ma'am. To begin with, I would want you to, acquaint us with, we know, what the tourism sector had to suffer because of the COVID, induced lockdowns. Has now that the world is slowly limping back to normalcy, do you see a change in the mindset of the people? Do you see a surge in the number of tourists in the region? Because doing a comparative study, Northeast India at this point in time seems to be, one of the safest destinations with regard to the spread of COVID all across the world.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for inviting me to the discussion. Yeah, Northeast comparatively is less infested by this COVID-19, and definitely after this pandemic and this lockdown is over, most people are trying to explore more about the Northeastern region, because I've seen most of the people have traveled all over the world, but they have not seen Northeast yet. And this is the right time to promote Northeast in a huge way, so that we can bring into this area to the forefront while promoting India as whole. And of course, when we talk about Northeast, it's not only one state, it's 7 different states, and including Sikkim, of course, these are 8 states, and each state has its own USP. So if you say Northeast as a whole, and we cannot say it is one, because it's a different states has unique experience to share. And of course, after this lockdown, people have started inquiring more about Northeastern regions, and Manipur, of course, it was the first state to take off this COVID test and all on arrival and all. So I think Manipur has started getting more inquiries, and we hope in this season or maybe next season we will be getting comparatively better clientele or better business than the previous years.
I also want you to, explore for us the contribution or, for that matter, international collaborative arrangements that can be done for development of Northeastern region, because, other countries are also being roped up when we talk of infrastructure development and overall development of the region.
Yeah, because see, already the government of India is having a Northeast collective stalls or stands, you can say, in all the international events like ITB and WTM and other similar exhibition and fairs. But I think when we talk about Northeast as such, but in particular, instead of combining with other states of India, we can try to collaborate with the countries which will be interested in visiting Northeast. Like if I take example of Manipur, like people from Japan and UK, they are more interested to visit Manipur because of the World War II trail they have in the area of some trails of Nagaland and Manipur. Because of that Second World War trail, it was the fiercest battle in the history of World War II. So people are coming back to find their roots. People from Japan, from UK, they're coming back to pay homage to their ancestors who laid down their lives during this war. So when we are talking about Northeast, we should look for the countries which will be actually interested in investing or the time and energy and money to visit this area and have some connection, have some similarity with their values, with their custom, with their food, with their culture. We have really, for Northeastern states, have lots of similarities with these Mongoloid people, like we have the Southeast Asia, the China, Japan. So we need to to focus on those countries which are actually interested in visiting Northeast and collaborate with them in future, so that we'll get more business from that country.
All right, I would also take that forward to Ms. Barar as well. Ma'am, your take on that. Is this a promising field in the near future when we talk of international collaborative arrangements for overall development of the region?
The world is watching us, I would say, so it's a fantastic part of the country to invest in. It's a fantastic country to invest in. And with so much of ease of doing business happening, and the government looking at making sure that all kinds of, difficulties are addressed, whether it is about taxation, whether it's about single window clearances, so much is happening. So clearly the world will be looking at India as an important area of investment, and within India, Northeast definitely offering a lot of opportunities, considering that the government itself is working so much on the large infrastructure in this area.
All right, Pam, I'm also told that there is a paucity of time on your end, and very quickly, I would want your, closing comments. We've had a lot of optimism and positivity when we talk of the potential in the Northeastern region. But what are the constraints, specific constraints that are present, when we talk of tourism in Northeastern region, and how are those constraints to be addressed?
I would say, and that's one of the reasons why we formed this committee, which will actually be more like a working group. And the idea of bringing everything together, because believe me, when we look at the NER and say NER, as one of my co-panelists said, each state is different from the other and very different from the other. So how to bring out those uniqueness of each state together and yet make itineraries that are conducive to a traveler would be in the coming times a challenge which the trade and we need to get together and work on. The other area which we realize that there are gaps is in the training and the upskilling of manpower. And the ministry, of course, has two IHMs, one in Guwahati and one in Shillong. So we are ramping up the courses, making sure that even in COVID times, the students were able to do online courses, because hospitality and tourism, you understand the role of human resources immense. So the need to capacity build our human resources absolutely paramount to taking this whole thing forward. And the third is the promotional campaigns. So this year, in all our promotions, which we'll carry not only domestic but globally also, there's a huge focus coming up on the entire region, on the Seven Sisters and Sikkim, to showcase each area for the beauty and the splendor that it's all about. So these are the three key areas I would say are important for our perspective to open up and to show the possibilities of our beautiful jewel of the northeastern part of our country.
All right. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining in and sharing your insights on our show Self-Reliant India on DD India. So that was Ms. Rupinder Brar. She's Additional Director General, Ministry of Tourism, and she spelled out the challenges. She spelled out the progress that has been made till now. She also spelled out the challenges which have to be looked into in the near future. Up next, we're heading for a very short commercial break. We've got other guests also with us. We will continue our discussion. Stay with us. We'll be back in a short while.
A global pandemic that's causing havoc worldwide. Search for an effective vaccine is on. Until then, the only option is caution and prevention. Now that the country has opened up under Unlock 5, it's all the more critical that we don't let our guard down. Face mask has been found to be the most effective means to fight the spread of COVID-19. World Health Organization and various researchers have also found that masks are critical in mitigating the spread of COVID-19. When you wear a mask, you protect yourself and people around you. Wearing a face mask helps prevent the spread of COVID-19, but only if worn properly.
बिना मास्क या फेस कवर के घर से बाहर निकलने की अभी कल्पना करना भी सही नहीं है.
Be a part of DD India campaign. Mask Up India. Come and join our initiative to fight COVID-19. Share your stories of masking up with us on Facebook and Twitter.
Mask Up India.
It's a simple task. Just wear a mask.
Mask Up India.
Mask Up India.
Mask Up India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching Self-Reliant India on DD India today, and we're discussing the scope of tourism sector, specifically in the northeast region of the country. We're joined in by guests. We're joined in by Mr. Nirmal Chaudhary. He's Chairman, Northeast States Indian Association of Tour Operators. We're joined in by Ms. Elena Satpathy, partner Seven Sister Holidays, Imphal, and Mr. Subimal Bhattacharjee, Northeast expert. Mr. Bhattacharjee, when we talk of the 8 states of Northeast all have different cultures. how can this uniqueness of each state be channeled together so that, you know, it further adds to the potential of the region as a whole?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, within states also, there are so many different tribes and
Tribal
different cultures.
Yes.
Yes, so even within that, you know, a sense of integration prevails. Now, what's important, as Ms. Brar before leaving had mentioned about, you know, skilling and having the right human resources available. And now, one thing one must note that all across the country, in most of the major hotel chains today, as well as the restaurants, a lot of the individuals from Northeast are working. So, and they are really doing well. So what I mean to say here is that the orientation of most of the communities from the region are absolutely suited towards the tourism and the service industry, and they have created a name for themselves. That's where the, you know, the tribe that they come from or the community they come from really or hardly matters. It's that quality of service that's seen uniform across most of the tribes of the region. However, coming to your point, what's important is you know, to highlight each of the characteristic of these communities. For example, I mentioned about Dima Hasao in Assam. That's the capital of their district. It's known as the only hill station of Assam. Very few people outside the state also know it properly. Whereas, you know, you have the mountains, you have the trekking opportunities, you have 13 different tribes in that one district. But these are potential stuff, and they, all these 13 tribes and the 6 non-tribals that are there in the district, they have a unique way of living in unity and have a, you know, approach where each goes to each other's festivals and all. But these are some of the things that can be showcased to the whole nation, because how, you know, you live together, you propagate, you project your own cultures, and yet, you know, you don't try and infringe upon others,
each other's,
you know,
yes,
culture. Yeah.
culture.
So these are some of the lessons that can be absolutely shown. And thirdly, the Northeast, you know, by the sheer presence in geography, the location, and when a focus is there on Act East, the Act East policy of the government, where,
yes,
you know, all the ASEAN countries and the bordering countries are looked at, one of the first places that where tourism projection also has to happen is to those countries, because to a great extent, you know, there is a similarity in cultures with many places. In Myanmar, if you go, at least with 4 or 5 different tribes, the Nagas and the Kukis they have, or the Mizos, they have their, you know, counterpart communities in that country. It's a matter of fact that, you know, it's a separate sovereign country, but cultures, you know, are the same. So that's where, you know, you need to build up. Secondly, Japan was mentioned. In 2016, I had made quite a long documentary on the Second World War in Northeast, which Ms. Satpathy had mentioned about. And in that documentary, which was a part of the Indian panorama in IFI Goa, after that, I got a lot of inquiries from Japan, I got a lot of inquiries from UK, and when I went and showcased in those countries, a lot of people took a lot of interest because of the scenic beauty, the historical importance of that. And mind you, that was one of the most important battle of the Second World War. So now that, you know, military tourism around that has been built up by 2-3 individuals, and it is also getting a tour operators, you know, attention. But these are some of the things that we have to very much, you know, focus, streamline, show each other communities, you know, performance, show each other's strengths. There is no reason that people won't go, because most of the northeastern states and the regions within them are absolutely, you know, environment friendly places. People, the tribes have environmental friendly cultures. They are pollution free places. So, you know, they, for many of the city dwellers, these are places just like paradise where they can go and spend a weekend, come and feel rejuvenated. So I think, you know, these are some of the unique things of the tribal life as well as the non-tribal life from the region to be imbibed by many other parts of the country. And that is where we have to take advantage of the policies of the government right now, along with the spread of social media and the individual efforts of many of the tour operators and individuals who are trying to promote the region.
All right. At this point, I will also bring in Mr. Nirmal. Sir, when we talk of the potential of the northeastern region, Mr. Chaudhary, the Prime Minister has also vehemently talked of this potential of the region. How far is, how far does youth, the role of youth, play in further enhancing the tourism industry in the country? We've talked about social media, and we've talked about how social media can make, or break a thing. So when we talk of further, nurturing tourism in the country, how can youth specifically be roped in encouraging the industry in the region?
As it is, I must say that in the recent past, in the last 5 years, not only in the state of Assam but across Northeast, a lot of young entrepreneurs have come into the field of tourism. Many of them are well trained in. Some are engineers, some are academically otherwise qualified, but they have this inherent interest in tourism, and they have traveled in other parts of the country or of the world, and they understand the uniqueness of our own region and feel the need to showcase it in all its glory to our domestic customers as well as to the world at large. So a lot of young filmmakers are making short movies on various destinations of the area. A lot of young tour operators have opened their businesses, and they're operating these tours with particular focus on experiential tourism. So not only in wildlife, there are tour operators who are operating tours based only on specific aspects of cultural life. For example, focusing on traditional textile traditions of this area. Every tribe has different weaving traditions, different jewelries that they make, different kind of ancient tattoos and symbols that are slowly not being used so much, are being showcased by these companies. So they are attracting a young group of people from across the country who want to explore, learn, and are keen for more experiential side of their visit into our region. I would like to mention another thing that I feel very passionate about, that our region must find its identity in terms of accommodation facilities also. Of course, homestay is a great way of people to come and interact with a family, with a particular host community, and stay and explore the region, eat their food, and see their lifestyle up close and personal. But at the same time, I feel that the commercial establishments, hotels, etc., that is coming up or is going to come up in the next few years should be given a brief, and they should be given some SOPs from the government, or whether state or the central government, to build architecture that captures the essence of the traditional architectures of the area where they are coming up. If they are coming up in, say, Arunachal Pradesh, almost all the tribes have a certain architectural traditions of building houses. If those can be replicated in a modern way, we have IIT here in Guwahati and other engineering institutions, architectural institutions. They can intervene and create these designs and provide these to private companies to build properties that blends into the surrounding area and not replicate the same concrete structures that you would come across anywhere else in the country. So if we can do that across the Northeast region and create boutique properties, keeping traditional architecture in mind, this in itself will become an attraction for visitors to come and stay close to nature, architecture that respects local environment. Yes. Is ecologically viable, and that would create in the long term a completely new identity of accommodation facilities for the Northeast region. I think that is an area that we must look at and not just build concrete multi-storied buildings as hotels.
All right, accommodation that would respect the culture of the region is one aspect which you've highlighted. Mr. Bhattacharjee, what are the avenues of tourism in the region? For a person who intends to visit the region, the tour operators for that matter, or for that matter the social media, would apprise of the famous tourist destinations, but there's a lot to explore when we talk of culture, when we talk of food, when we talk of other unexplored aspects. So I would want you to talk more and acquaint our viewers what can be the other avenues through which tourism can be enhanced in the region.
Tourism in the region are still not optimally explored. So I think a focus on building up that is important. Why I tell this? I'll tell you. Like everyone knows about the Kamakhya temple. It's one of the Shakti Peeth. There's a lot of visits to Kamakhya. But just as you go to Meghalaya, cross Shillong, go to there is a place called Nartiang, which is also again another Shakti Peeth. Very few people go to Nartiang. I think only a few people know. So can't there be a Shakti Peeth circuit kind of a initiative which continues this religious tourism to that place? So a circuit can be built up around that. To the Vaishnavism movement in Assam, Shankardev, Mahapurush Shankardev has shown to the world much earlier, way back in the 16th century, about what an equitable life should be, and how you basically stay away from many of the traditional stuff, but you carry everyone along on an equitable scale. Now this is something this being done in the Satras around Majuli and all. Now they are being looked at very extensively from a tourism point of view. But these are some of the things that a lot of people from other parts of the country needs to be further exposed to. Today, only those who are interested to an extent in those ancient forms of traditional stuff are looking at, but there is a much larger tourism potential even to expose them to a much larger part of the country. That way it helps in building the bridges. See, for a long time, a lot of people and a lot of communities in the Northeast always felt alienated or, sort of left out. Now, somewhere there has to be an attempt to understand and imbibe how those societies have evolved with so much of culture, either in the food or in the attire or in the festivities that they have. Food. If you take up food, even this Saturday, Sunday, there is a Northeast festival that's coming up in Cyber Hub in Gurgaon. Some 10-15 stalls are going to come up. Now, if you look at the food, most of the food that most of the communities in the Northeast region take, they're very, very healthy food. They are around, boiled stuff, but they are not without any taste. So these are some of the things people experiment, but can this be a part of a larger effort that everyone now looks at while trying to live healthy? They have lived healthy for years, without medicines and relying on all the traditional stuff. So these are some of the things that remain. Then, of course, wildlife and sceneries. I don't think anywhere anything better than you can have in the region. Is so much of diversity, so beautiful treks and roads now to drive. Now that everything is peaceful, the national highways are a delight to drive. Either, you get the, the huge number of tea gardens that you have. They are such nice beauty to the eye. You drive through Meghalaya, Arunachal Pradesh, every moment in front of your eyes, you see some of the most beautiful sceneries. You have the wildlife, Kaziranga, Manas. There are so many other pockets also where, you have opportunities. Trekking as an industry can come up in a very big way in the Northeast, looking at the hills that are there. So I think, there are prospects in every area if you look at. It is, the help of people like Mr. Chaudhary, who really focus and try to help their clientele to realize a certain objective when someone travels there. See, when tourists go, they make a plan and they try to move according to a plan. Now, that's going to be important. That's where what he mentioned towards the end of his conversation a little while back about, not the buildings, but actually having those traditional traces in those buildings that are there. These are the kind of ethnic imprints that, will attract a lot of people. How a house looks in Nagaland, how a house of bamboo would, look in Meghalaya,
Yes.
or, how a stone house of the past in the Jantia region. These are some of the things that really need to come out. And for that, very specific, circuits can be built up. They all can be added up to a far much larger consolidated revenue for larger groups. And as we look at, even attracting post-COVID and how things are far much improved for even foreign tourists to come in, there is no reason that there should not happen. A lot of foreign tourists have started coming to the region. The Europeans, the Americans have started coming. Many of the European ambassadors, if you see, are now regular visitors to the northeastern region. The German ambassador, Walter Lindner, regularly speaks about the beauty of the region.
Right.
So this a whole of a government effort, a whole of a effort by the tour operators, by the tourism planners, by the infrastructure providers. These are very, very important. And of course, what's important is to always now ensure that infrastructure development happens at a pace that it has picked up.
All right. So
The law and
infrastructure
order
development.
that has happened, that is almost now gone. Most of the issues, that used to build up a perception that the Northeast is a disturbed region, that is now gone, because most of the groups have been brought to talks by the government and brought
Into the
towards the
mainstream,
sense
right.
of settlement.
All right, we are approaching towards the fag end of the show. Very quickly, we've talked about the prospects of tourism in the region. I would want a word from Ms. Satpathy and from the rest of our panelists also on what needs to be further done when we talk of the shortcomings or we talk of the challenges ahead. Mr. Chaudhary had specifically talked of accommodation, which would respect the cultural diversity as well. What inputs would you want to give, Ms. Satpathy? What are the, what is the road ahead when we talk of further harnessing tourism in the region?
As we all know, this Northeast region, people are the most hospitable people around. You can see most of the nurses, the people in hospitality industry across India and abroad, most of them are from Northeast. So what we need right now is mobilize the youth of this region. Like, we have to create an awareness at the grassroots level and train them. Classroom training is not going to work. We need a practical training with practical people who are people like us who are actually in the industry, to train them, and we bridge the gap. We know where we are lacking, because when we are taking people abroad, what amenities and what facilities they have and what a kind of hospitality they get from people around. And when we bring people here, we don't get that facility here. I think previous speakers were speaking about the wayside amenities also. They want wayside amenities. It should be based on a public-private partnership, because you need to involve the local people to create and manage and earn from the facilities created for the tourists. So then only they will understand the value of tourism, value of tourists, and they will respect people when people arrive. Otherwise, there is no point. You can build n number of roads, n number of hotels, but if you are not mobilizing, making the local people aware of the benefits of the economics, benefits of the development they will get from the arrival of the tourists, then it's not going to work. So, all of us know, the Northeast as a region has been lagging behind from the rest of the country. So what we need, because we don't have industry, specifically if I speak of Manipur, we don't have an industrial culture there. So what we have is local people, local youth, villages, natural sceneries. So we need to calculate our future on the basis of resources we have and utilize optimal utilization of the resources, including the local people, local involvement, and benefit them, so that further we we can strengthen the tourism industry within Northeast. I think that should be the way forward from here.
All right, sir, would want to add to that, Mr. Chaudhary?
Most importantly, it is the training and imbibing the best practices, while also keeping in mind that the attractions that we have in Northeast India are mostly God-given natural attractions and living cultures. So we must treat them with respect, and we make sure that when visitors come, we interpret it in such a certain way that it is appreciated, the traditional knowledges of living in sync with nature, traditional expertise in whether it's textiles or herbal medicines, etc. All of these aspects are can be transferred to the visitors. So it becomes a learning experience for visitors, not only just passing through destinations and enjoying beautiful sights, but also learning about the host communities and their cultures. And that is what needs to be done. And for that, we need more trained people who may already know about our cultures and traditions, but how to talk about it in a simple but engaging and interesting manner. For that, we need more and more people coming in and getting trained in these aspects.
All right, so training is the crux word here. Thank you so much, all three of you, for joining us this afternoon on Self-Reliant India on DD India. So we had our guests joining in this afternoon and discussing the prospects of tourism, specifically in the northeastern region. What is the road ahead? And also, how is the country and specifically the region trying to get back to normalcy after the COVID-19 induced lockdowns and the harshness of the pandemic. So with that, we end this edition of Self-Reliant India here. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.